Hi, this is Deborah Newton, and today we'll be looking at solving equations for specific variables. For this example, we're going to be isolating the y term, so all we're going to be doing is reorganizing or reordering this equation so that y is all by itself. So the first thing we need to do is get rid of the term that doesn't have a y in it at all, and that would be the 5x. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. So on the left-hand side, the 5x's are eliminated, and we're left with negative 3y. On the right-hand side, remember, you only combine terms if they are like terms. So these are not like terms. We're going to keep them separate from each other. So we get negative 5x plus 16. Another thing to remember is that everything keeps the sign that is in front of it. So notice the 5 has a minus sign, so we leave it as a negative 5. The 16 doesn't have a sign, so it is understood to be positive. And then we actually just have one more step. Remember what your goal is. Your goal is to get the variable that you're trying to isolate. Just get it all by itself. So lastly, we're going to divide by negative 3. On the right-hand side, just be careful that you divide the entire equation by negative 3. So my final answer here would be y equals negative 5x plus 16 over negative 3. So this time we're trying to isolate the variable a. So it is inside a parentheses, so the first thing we have to do is get rid of the parentheses through distributive property. So on the left-hand side we still have t. On the right-hand side we're going to do c times 3. You usually write the number first, so that is 3c. C times ab, we usually write that in alphabetical order, so that's going to be minus abc. Okay, so don't forget your goal. Your goal is to, again, get a all alone. So the first thing you should do here is get rid of the term that does not have an a in it, which would be the 3c. So we're going to subtract 3c from both sides. On the left-hand side, notice that t and 3c are not like terms, so we just keep them separate. There's no way to combine them. On the right-hand side, we're going to get negative abc. Remember that it's negative because everything keeps the sign that's currently in front of it. And then we actually only have one more step here. We are trying to isolate this a right here. So we're going to divide by everything else, in other words. So we're going to divide by a negative bc, because we do want to eliminate that negative sign as well. Whatever you do to one side, make sure you do to the other. So the last step is on the right-hand side, we get a, because everything got canceled. On the left-hand side, we have t minus 3c over negative bc. It's a common mistake to try to cancel those c terms out. You're not allowed to do that. They are not. There's not a c in every single term, so we just leave it like that, and that is your final answer. Okay, so this one looks a little more complicated than the previous example, but actually at its core it's very, very similar. We are trying to isolate w. So the first thing, as it has been in the previous two examples, is to get rid of the term that does not have a w in it at all, and that would be this 5st cubed. That is one term altogether, and we can move it over in one step. So you subtract 5st cubed from both sides. So on the left we get m minus 5st cubed. On the right-hand side, all that we have remaining is the minus 4sw. And then we actually just have one more step. We want to isolate w, so we want to get rid of the other two terms that are on the right-hand side. So that would be the minus 4. Also the s, we can do this in one step, but again, make sure you do the same thing to both sides. So we end up with m minus 5st cubed over negative 4s. Alright, so this final example is probably the most challenging one so far. Notice the difference here is we have two b terms, so it's not going to be okay for us to move one of the b terms over because both of the terms on the right-hand side have a b in them. We also cannot combine them together. bc and 3bc squared are not like terms, so we have to come up with some other way. So what we're actually going to do is sort of backwards of the distributive property, which we've used a couple of times. We are going to pull out or factor out a b. Notice they both have a b in them. If you pull out a b, you're going to be left with c plus 3c squared. because if you pull a b out of bc, all you have left is c. If you pull a b out of the 3bc squared, all you have left is 3c squared. So now notice I only have one b term now. I'm actually have one more step left. This is b times a parentheses, and I don't want that entire parentheses term there, so I can actually divide by the entire thing. Divide by c plus 3c squared, and make sure you do the same to the left-hand side. The parentheses is really optional on the left-hand side. So on the right-hand side, notice the entire parentheses is gone, and we're allowed to do that because we're multiplying b times that parentheses. So our final answer is b equals a over c plus 3c squared.